Ah, shit. Here we go again.
Hello, motherfucker.
Plum here, and welcome agents. What the fuck are they talking about? This week's State of the Game was another chance for the devs to avoid core issues and problems within the game. Talking shit about useless fixes to fast travelling non-classified missions, raid arm patches people aren't getting so they can't wear it, uncertain launch date of update 3.1, and other pointless crap. This week's special guest talks about a load of crap about AI behaviour, and that's about it. No mention about armor glitching or what they're going to do to try and fix it. Nothing about other ways to improve player experience in PvE. Fuck it, you can listen and watch it yourself. Plum out. Oh yeah, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe.
Hello everyone and welcome to State of the Game number 122 on the 29th of May. I nailed the date this time. Yes!
Well done.
My name's Hamish, I'm going to be hosting today, but I have someone way smarter here with me, and that's always super exciting. Drew.
Hey,
Drew
how's it
Richner,
going?
Senior Lead AI Designer. What's the difference?
If you're into titles.
Sure. AI Guy.
AI guys, perfectly fine.
How you doing?
Great.
Yeah, so today I'll get through a bit of the housekeeping stuff first, but Drew's going to be here with us to talk about some of the issues with the AI right now and how that's all being addressed, I guess. That's fair to say?
Absolutely.
All right, so anyone who's been sticking around would know that there was a maintenance yesterday that fixed a bunch of stuff that we couldn't get in the maintenance for the previous Thursday. Those things have been applied yesterday, so all of those things should be there. There were some issues that were preventing players from entering the Nelson Theatre classified assignment. That should be fixed. There was an issue fixed where some players could not progress to World Tier 5, so please let us know if that's still happening for you. There was improvements to the delivery of the ARM patch for the first week completion of Operation Dark Hours, the raid, and players who beat the raid in the first week should be granted with that ARM patch correctly, but if that's still not the case for you, do let us know on the feedback and suggestions part on the forums. I know I saw chat before the stream and everyone's asking about the whole discussion around raid and matchmaking and that sort of stuff. We're not talking about that today, but we have talked about in previous streams how we are looking into some other kind of system to allow people to group up in the game. So some sort of LFG solution that is creating meaningful groups and that sort of stuff. So ongoing conversation, not something we are having news on today. There will be another maintenance this week on Friday because tomorrow is a public holiday, so we will not be here. Usual time though, not the same day, same time. So 9:30 till 12:30 Swedish time or Central European Summer Time, not just Sweden. Other countries exist here, sorry. This will fix some NPC behaviors, and Drew's going to chat about that with me in a second. There's an issue where players can fall through the world when matchmaking for classified assignments. Drew, actually, on this one, you might know how this works. I assume that this is why this is happening.
Yeah.
So when you matchmake and it teleports you to the point,
Yeah.
I guess you're getting there before the nav mesh is loaded?
Probably, yeah.
And
Or
just-
at least physics, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that should be fixed. Because I think apparently if you walk up to it, it's fine.
Yeah.
There is some changes to the bank headquarters mission. A partial fix for that issue came in yesterday, and there'll be a proper fix for that on Friday. And the normalization armor issue fix is being worked on. So we will keep you posted about how that one goes. Patch 3.1 is planned for next week. And you might think Swedes are all about the public holidays, and they are, because next Thursday is also a public holiday.
That's right. Sweden Day.
Why else? Yeah, Sweden Day. It literally is Sweden Day. So that maintenance will not happen on Thursday. We don't have a time or a date for that patch deployment, but we will let you know as soon as we can. Twitter is the best place for that, I would say. There'll be further fixes, including the face mask stuff that we've had, semi-auto weapons, the rate of fire being too low. We also talked about a bunch of these fixes in the last State of the Game, so I'm not going to go through all of those. We do know that there's a lot of discussion around skills, build diversity, and loot. You've probably seen this. These aren't exactly what you work on.
No.
But you work adjacent to those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're super discussed, not just in the community, but also I know we're talking about a lot of that here. That's
all the time.
Not a patch 3.1 thing, but TU4 and that sort of stuff. We will have some more information about where we're looking to go with that pretty soon.
Yeah.
pretty soon. But so
There's definitely stuff in progress.
yeah, so keep coming back to the stream, to the website, to all of our socials, and you will get that information. But yes, I just don't want you to think that the devs are not looking at those things.
Right.
You can confirm?
Yes,
right.
absolutely.
There are further improvements to the Revive Hive in TU4 that's being looked at very closely. And the Reinforcer Chem launcher on console has been a big discussion, and there will be changes to that. So I think console players will be very happy there. All right, housekeeping done. Now we get to talk about all of the things that you did wrong.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm so excited to do
All
it.
right,
Yeah.
this is your favorite time. Drew, just for the people who have not caught you on the stream before or any of the podcasts,
Yeah.
who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so my name's Drew Reckner. I'm a lead AI designer. So I had also worked on Division 1 as a AI designer as well. But kind of my major role is to design, and I also implement like the behaviors, author the behaviors for most of our hostile NPCs, enemy NPCs, and even, I guess, the friendly NPCs, anything to do with combat.
Okay. So before we get into the current issues that you've been facing and fixing and getting ready to deploy, because I know that there are a lot of things coming,
Right.
I guess for the player, Division 1 and Division 2 may seem very similar in terms of, you run around and there are enemies. And the enemies do stuff.
There are
and then,
dudes to shoot. Yeah.
Sure. But there's a lot going on under the hood that's quite different from between the two titles, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so like in both titles, right, we're still using the same underlying tech in terms of like the engine, right? It's Snowdrop. There's obviously a lot of improvements that were made from Division 1 to Division 2. And our architecture is still a behavior tree architecture for our behaviors. And we're still using something that's very low level. So like it's very powerful. It's complex, but it gives us all sorts of power to do really cool things. So like that's still the same, but how we used it has kind of changed dramatically. And that kind of really started with when we made the Hunter AI in the survival DLC of Division 1.
Sure.
So we kind of thought about how we really wanted to challenge the player, challenge their skills, like their shooter skills, and also their tactics in the best way possible. And we kind of took all of those learnings, and that's kind of where we started with the Division 2 AI. So like we kind of re-architected a lot of things, both because it led to like better enemy behavior, but also because we had this kind of challenge where we were looking at more like about twice the enemy archetypes that we had in Division 1 and Division 2. So I mean, I think we had 64 or something when we released, which is quite a bit, and every single one has completely unique behavior and everything. So, yeah.
Are there any key behaviors that stand out to you that we didn't have in the first game that we have now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What would the biggest ones be, you say?
I mean, there's a lot of them, but there's some like very core things, and then there are like some other like highlights that like undoubtedly like people would notice, like the ability for certain NPCs to go prone, right? We take like the True
Sure.
Sun Sniper or heavy weapons, like they can go prone. The ability for them to like find the positions to go prone, for them to do that. We also never really had the ability for NPCs to like this concept of, hey, like I have a special ability, I have a weak point that's associated with that special ability. If you destroy that weak point, you destroy that NPC's ability from them using that ability. So like the most classic example is there's a thrower, they have a grenade bag, you destroy the grenade bag, and they can't throw grenades anymore. Or the medic, you destroy their shock pads and they can't revive allies, that kind of stuff.
Okay. All right. I mean, we could probably go on like a huge list of those things.
There's a
forever.
huge amount of those, yeah, absolutely.
Because you were saying in the behaviors list, there's literally like thousands of nodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's something that that's a little bit unique, I think, to Snowdrop is that our behavior trees are lower level, so they consist of lots of small, very powerful parts, which then do very big things, whereas a lot of other engines will kind of do all of those things, but in code. And so As an example, like a lot of engines' behavior trees are somewhere between 10 to 100 nodes, whereas ours are about, I think, 30,000 or so nodes.
So, yeah, because when you said low level before, I was
Yeah.
like, low level kind of sounds like less power.
Yeah,
But-
yeah, right.
But basically,
it's the opposite.
It's the opposite. Like, so instead of like a top level,
Yeah.
top level view of something, you really get into the detail and
Yeah.
have control over all those details.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the difference. I mean, this isn't a perfect comparison, but it's like the difference between a scripting language or something. Like we'll take like JavaScript or something, and or like Lua. Actually, that's maybe a better example. Like take something like Lua and then compare it to like C++. That's like high level versus low level.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and there's going to be so many like coders out there that are going to be like, that's actually not a great. Yeah, sure, not a great example maybe, but you get the idea.
Yeah, I'm sure that like all programmers are probably like getting like, oh, Drew, you're wrong. But so the game's been out for what? Almost 3 months. Has it only
Almost.
been only 2.5 months?
Yeah, it feels like a long time.
Okay, 2.5 months. There's been changes, and TU3 came out. What were some of the
Yeah.
changes in TU3 that you did? Some of the things that worked, and some of the things that we didn't maybe didn't work, and we are looking at fixing.
Yeah. So TU3 actually consisted of like quite a lot of changes, right? I'm trying to think on the NPC side. Like, I mean, there was a lot of bug fixes, right? Which, of course, moving kind of all these components led to some, I mean, we'll be nice and we'll call them adverse side effects, right? They were not great bugs that we introduced, basically, right? So yeah, for the life of me, I can't remember everything that we did. Game development is like constantly living in the future and then releasing stuff in the past, but
Exactly. But like you mentioned before, there's a lot of things that you are aiming to fix with 3.1.
Absolutely,
And also just in upcoming maintenances and patches.
yeah.
What are the key things that you've been working on? Not you, the team have been working on.
So most immediately, right, like we've been working on fixing the bugs that were introduced in Title Update 3. Kind of prior to that, right, one of our major focuses was really improving the NPC's movement, making sure that looks fluid and nice, making sure that those NPCs that are like, you know, like doing those weird leapovers and drop downs and like kind of teleporting and doing things like that, that we can eliminate all of those things.
Yeah, what is the teleporting thing?
Yeah, so that's it's a bit of a technical issue, but it has to do with the NPCs for various reasons. It should never happen.
Sure.
But of course, should never happen.
Yeah.
Always happens. Where an NPC doesn't have space to play an animation, and so they basically just kind of fail to find anything to play, and so they just kind of pop.
Do they exist still? Like, is their hitbox still where they are, or?
Their hitbox absolutely always follows
Okay.
them, so that's never a problem.
All right. So you're not. They're not. There's not like invincibility frames.
No,
when-
no. As
Okay.
long as if you can hit them, you can hit them. There's
Okay.
nothing like that.
All
Absolutely.
right. Good to know. Just
Yeah.
For me, that's not written here. I just wanted
Yeah.
to know that. So I guess that's happening on, like, where's that happening? Server or client?
So both
Bit
kind
of both?
of.
Okay.
Both kind of. Yeah. I mean, so yeah.
Complicated.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a little more complicated than that, but it's both. Yeah.
All right. So there's that, the teleporting thing. Sorry, I derailed you.
Yeah.
What-
And we also had like, you know, the control point officers reviving downed players, for example. Like, I mean, there's a lot of those things that we worked on as well.
What's been the biggest one for you? That's been the either most important to fix or the hardest to fix?
Bug that in post-launch. Well, I mean, I think it would be the issues that were in TU3.
Okay.
Hardest to fix, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to talk about that now or wait.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about it now.
Yeah.
I mean, I like talking about bugs. It might make
Yeah,
might make some people mad, but I'm good with it. Give us the bug talk, Drew.
Sure. So in TU3, there's kind of been two major issues with AI that have been identified, I would say. There are at least two groups. Now, like the reality is actually, and the unfortunate part of this, right, is that actually those two bugs or two groups of bugs actually consist of many different components that are kind of wrong. So it required a lot of actual fixing. It was kind of a really bad, a lot of things broke at the right time, or at the wrong time, I should say.
Yeah.
And they were all things that were very interconnected and related, and so they kind of made this mess. So those two kind of major groups of bugs are one, what I think a lot of people have been calling NPC aggressiveness, or like aggressive flanking, or NPC like running up and meleeing you in the face,
They don't
and
give a
then like
shit.
running
They're
away,
just
like
right in there.
what the hell, man? Like you're a medic, why are you doing that? That stuff, and then there's the other one, which is NPC kind of speed of movement. So they're a little bit more nuanced than that, maybe, but those are kind of the two general topics.
Okay.
So, you want to dig into them?
Please, let's
All right,
let's
yeah.
start with the first
cool.
one.
I'm
So-
happy to talk about
Me too, man.
details.
I got time.
Yeah.
The aggressive NPCs.
Yeah.
So what's happening there?
Yeah, so the aggressive NPCs, so basically there was a bug that was fixed in TU3 that broke something else, right? This is actually a very common occurrence in game development
You fix
where you
something.
fix something
Okay.
and something else breaks because you had no idea there were basically unintended consequences, and you build something that's super complex and lots of people are working on it, and oh, whoops,
Yeah.
crap, we didn't think that it would break that way, but it did. So the first thing, and that kind of exposed a lot of issues that had occurred as well, was that our NPCs had failed to recognize if the player was nearby them once they started moving. So if they started moving and the player was there, instead of, say, stopping and reconsidering their movement, they would just keep going. And they would keep going, and they wouldn't even look at the player. They wouldn't even stop what they were doing, so they would just kind of sprint, right? And this actually manifests itself in all sorts of different ways. So you could see an NPC run right past you, like actually in pretty close proximity sometimes. They would just keep running, and you'd be like, oh, where are you going?
Yeah,
Oh,
see ya."
see you later.
Yeah.
Or it could also manifest itself in the NPC running up to you and seemingly like he just wanted to run up and melee you. Now, in actuality, what was happening there is the NPC was trying to get behind you. And the NPC was getting really close to you. He would get really close to you and say, oh, crap, I'm really close to you.
Yeah.
What should I do? I should melee you. And so then he would melee you. And then after he meleeed you, he would then figure out, he would kind of snap back to his like normal NPC brain and then say, what am I doing? I'm way too close. I should go back. And so then you'd see him run away again and like get far enough away and then start fighting from cover again. Then maybe you'd see something like that again. And now this is like highly also dependent on level layout and things like that, because the more wide open the space, the less often you would see this, but the more narrow the space, you'd see it a lot more often, and it has all to do with kind of where the NPCs choose to position, right? Because we run these giant algorithms that take all sorts of things into account, like the kind of distance or the optimal distance they want to stay from their target, the minimum distance, the maximum distance, the distance they want to keep from each other, whether that position should be a flanking position, whether it should be at elevation, whether it should be a good prone position. I mean, there's all sorts of different things that we take into account, right? So you mess one of those things up, it can have some pretty severe consequences,
Sure. I just want to clarify.
as we see.
Yeah, I wasn't laughing at bugs. Bugs suck. I just
Absolutely.
It's not cool. I don't even mean to make people feel like I'm like, haha, bugs funny. Like that's not it. But it also is kind of funny to think of like an AI just like running up and being like, shit. Like, what did I do? Now I gotta go. That's what I was laughing at.
Right.
Not the bug. That sucks. Player experience
And
is important. I'm not laughing at that.
And I think like that situation of an NPC being really stupid
Yeah.
and doing that is like really funny in development, because that stuff happens all the time in development, right?
Yeah, like we
It's
have all these videos
basically-
and stuff that are funny, but
Yeah.
when you
but
experience
it's-
it sucks.
And it's not so fun, right, when it makes its way into a release game.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly the point at which it stops being funny.
Yeah.
Is when players have to like deal with that. Because not only does it look stupid and it kind of breaks immersion and is like not like that exciting to play against an AI that just does something that's stupid. But it also kind of increases difficulty in some cases, or maybe even decreases difficulty because you can like kind of shoot them and they don't like. It's yeah, so it's like it's even bigger than that, right?
Yeah. I mean, you've created this system that has some logic to it.
Yeah.
And when that logic is eroded, and these people are doing things that are entirely irrational,
Yeah.
people, these NPCs, they're not real.
Yeah, it's like Westworld up in here.
Yeah, but when they're doing things that you're like, well, that makes no sense. It's kind of hard to play a game that is meant to be grounded in reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're like, well, what's going on?
And tactical and all of the other things,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
funny in theory, in practice,
not funny,
not
right?
so much.
So
that was the first group of stuff, aggressive
Yeah.
NPCs.
Yeah, and there were a few other kind of components there. So like NPCs that were positioning themselves in ways that they shouldn't have been. You could often see this with controllers, medics, engineers. They were basically kind of enabled to move to positions that they should never move to. So like behind or flanking positions, where generally we like them to kind of set up in front of the player so the player can see them, because it's not a lot of fun to be surprised by a medic, for example, or an engineer that is like, oh, surprise, there's a turret behind you. It's not a super fun play experience. So,
Sure.
yeah.
So you've had fixes on this that you've been testing over the past
Absolutely.
couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's the testing been going?
It's the testing has been going really well. Like we feel pretty confident that like we have gotten things back to pre-TU TU3.
Okay.
But we also think that we've made some improvements that made it even better than it's ever been before. So that's actually been really nice. So like a big part of this, right, was identifying the bugs, but was also figuring out why things broke, right? Which is something that usually takes a lot of time, right? Because it's like a lot of detective work to figure out, okay, what changes kind of went in? Why did they go in? Like, why did we not catch that these things happened? How did we not catch this in testing?
Yeah.
Like all of those things, right? And so, like, we spent a lot of time kind of figuring that out, right? Because like the important part is we don't want to do this again.
No.
Right? We don't want to release a regression in our AI, make them worse again. Like, that's unacceptable, right? And I mean, it's awful for players, obviously, but it's like also really bad for our team. Like, we don't want to put out anything of that, like that bad a quality, right? Like that's, it totally sucks. We take pride in our work and we work really hard, like the whole team does, filled with tons of talented people.
Yeah, I think I said this on the stream the other day. I one of the reasons we do this show is because I think a lot of the times people, they see an issue and they're like, devs don't care. And I'm like, that's
right.
Issues suck for the players. They really suck.
Absolutely.
And they're upsetting and they shouldn't be there. But when I come to work and I see people like Drew, and I see how hard it is also for you to be like, I hate that this is happening.
Yeah.
Like, and all of the people on the teams that are working on this, they want to get that shit fixed.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
Just my 2 cents. Okay, we've talked about the first issue.
Yeah.
Do these issues overlap the NPC speed thing as well, or are they completely different?
They don't. They're actually different. So there's the other issue, right, that we kind of identified was the NPC speed issue. A lot of people kind of reported it as, oh, like NPCs are moving at like crazy speeds. And so like we looked into it, and there's actually a number of different cases where NPCs accelerate way too quickly, and they move for a very brief time way too fast. So they're not actually like sprinting at really, really fast speeds, like for long periods of time. Like as an example, right, like the player, well, maybe I shouldn't give out like exact speeds, but whatever. The player moves a lot faster, can move a lot faster than our NPCs.
Yes.
It might not seem like it when you're trying to shoot at them, but they can.
All right.
But our NPCs, after TU3, had these bursts of speed where they could accelerate from going 0 meters a second all the way to 10 meters a second, which is about twice as fast as they can normally move, for brief periods of time. So they would basically instantly go to some super speed, and then they would slow down to their normal speed. That, of course, in a shooter context, makes it really hard to hit them.
Yeah.
So, right. So this issue, NPCs accelerating, happened after an NPC would play a turn animation. So the NPC would go into the turn, then immediately, as soon as they were done with the turn, they would speed up really fast and then slow down again. And that has a lot to do with kind of a disagreement between the client and the server on like what the speed of the NPC was when they stopped that turn animation, and the NPC trying to like kind of catch up to where they thought they should be and things like that. So that was kind of issue number one. Issue number two was that a lot of times, like our NPCs, almost every single time they turn, right, they play like a turning animation, right? They have to plant their feet and like redirect their momentum and things like that. A lot of those animations actually broke. And it was associated with a fix to getting NPCs not clipping into things when they go on stairs. Again, unintended consequences, kind of, I think. But yeah, so the NPCs were not playing their turn animations, and when an NPC isn't playing their turn animations, they're actually not decelerating and accelerating. They're actually moving at their top speed, which of course is really bad. Like no human could do that. So like, why should our NPCs do that? Right?
I believe in you.
Thanks. So you'd see this 90-degree turn or something at full speed without the NPC ever slowing down, and like looks insane, and it's also really hard to like aim at and things like that. So that was another one, and the kind of the third component of that was also that with like climbs and drop downs and those kind of animations that we call vertical navigation, before and after the NPCs were also accelerating. So all these things kind of combined into this package, shitty package,
Sure.
of NPCs moving really fast and accelerating in unexpected ways, oftentimes. And the other part of the component was something that I would say came up as like, what is this NPC doing? Like weird pathing issues, which is the technical name of what we call these issues internally, weird pathing. You would see this as well, where an NPC would kind of double back, make a 180-degree turn and stuff like that. And that actually has to do with these issues as well, but it combines with all these acceleration issues. It makes it for like a really frustrating experience to try to shoot these enemies. Not to mention it looks really bad.
Yeah.
Right?
How do you fix it?
Good question. No, so the way it was fixed was a lot of it had to do with, it's a bit technical, but a lot of it had to do with, okay, like the turn animation needs to like end at the right speed and let the server know what the speed is when they stop that animation so they can accelerate again. There were just some bugs about entering and exiting like vertical navigation. There was fixed that like again kind of regulated the speed. And then the other part was all those broken turn animations was to get them to work again. And then moving forward as well, we are going to be kind of fixing our fail-safe of what if an NPC doesn't play a turn animation, because they always should play a turn animation, but we know that sometimes they might not for some reason. And that's kind of moving forward because it's a little more complicated, but is to actually get the NPCs to slow down and speed up when they make those turns. So we can prevent, even if we were to, shouldn't ever happen, but even if like they weren't able to play those turn animations, then at least they would still slow down and speed up normally.
Cool. So these two buckets of issues.
Yeah.
What was the first one?
The aggressiveness.
Aggressiveness and speed,
yeah.
right? Fixed in upcoming updates?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So we have the vast majority of the fixes in TU 3.1. So that's really good. And then we have a couple more kind of fixes coming up in like the next drop, basically. But basically where we should be at the end of 3.1 is in the same place or better, hopefully. And then in the future, we should be in an even better place than we've been before. So
I like that.
we really have wanted to kind of invest a lot more of our focus kind of on just stamping out these bugs.
So Drew with the big promises. I like it. It's
Yeah, right.
Fixed and better than ever is what I heard.
Fixed and better than in the future. Fixed and better than ever.
Okay,
right?
all right, cool. All right. No, we got it. Also, were you at all involved in the bug where the control point officers weren't wearing pants? Because I hear that's fixed too.
They weren't wearing pants?
No, okay.
What?
That's not your problem.
No, they now wear pants.
They now wear pants.
Yeah, they weren't wearing pants.
They weren't
before.
wearing pants.
Yeah.
Maybe that was intentional.
It was intentional.
We'll never know. Okay. Thanks so much.
They just like to hang out, man.
Yeah, we've got some agent highlights to look at because I realized this conversation about AI. We could keep going, but we got to run off. Let's take a look at our first image from this week's agent highlights. So Blinky Bunny and Keelan with many of these toys people will have seen before. But look at this.
That's
look at these
super
little little minis.
That's super cool.
I love it. I also props to the lighting on this.
Yeah.
Like that's some attention to detail. Very, very cool. These are all.
I think we have a job opening, right?
There you go.
No.
Miniature. I would honestly be totally into that. So people in the community have been working on like a wargaming version of The Division for a long time. Felis, one of our mods, has been cooking up some stuff there. Oh wait, was it wargaming or tabletop RPG? Either or. Both would be cool. I'm down for either of those. Our next one comes from Kingal G4. Pronunciation is a big issue here. This one is super cool though. Kingal G4, I will go with, is one of our agents in Algeria and has made everything by hand. So this is the thing.
Way.
All of this is made by hand, but what blew my mind, it's not that you've just taken like a DX Racer, like a gaming chair and reupholstered it. These are all made by hand. Look at the 3D model.
Yeah.
All of this has been fabricated.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's commitment.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's talent.
Well done. I like the stitching.
Yeah.
That's some next level
That's
stitching.
impressive.
Well done. Also, it looks, my color vision isn't great. But that looks like orange stitching to me.
It is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's That's why I know all the RGB codes for all of our colors because
Yeah.
I
had no idea.
Yeah, no. I've been
Today I learned.
I've been in the industry long enough that I'm fine talking about it now. First few years, no, don't tell anyone. Worked as a graphic designer at
I was
Blizzard.
say you were a graphic designer, right?
I started at Blizzard, didn't tell anyone. Not worth it. And then all of that, not a problem. That's also, fun fact, a reason why I didn't continue on with my car painting apprenticeship. My color matching skills were not great.
We're not.
I was fine priming
out.
stuff.
Yeah.
Not so good with the color matching. And our last agent highlight from Sib LK1A1 from Germany. Another cosplay. 10 out of 10.
Nice.
Love
Super good.
the plaid.
Yeah. Rocking the plaid. Are you rocking the plaid in game?
I am actually.
Yeah?
Because one of the Division streamers, Mr. Magoo, is like known for his like plaid chic.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I gotta do that. But this super cool cosplay. Well done with that one.
That's awesome.
Again, thank you, Drew, for what I love is a deep and nerdy conversation about AI, and also one that can go into the realities and the issues that we have, because I like when devs come here and tell us all the things they're working on. So
Yeah.
kudos
It's
to
more
you.
fun when we get to talk about things that are going well.
And we will. And we will. It is more fun. But this is more necessary. It's really easy to show up and be like, hey, look how awesome this is.
Yeah, right.
This is
Yeah,
sometimes
absolutely.
a little bit different. But I appreciate your candor and your openness to talk about these things. It's awesome. And we will have you back to celebrate, what did I write here? Fixed and better than ever.
Yep, that's right.
You said it. All right. Thank you very much. We'll be back with State of the Game next week on the Wednesday, as is today. There is a maintenance on Friday, so there's no maintenance tomorrow. Let me just double check this. Maintenance this week isn't tomorrow. We do one on Tuesday. There will be another maintenance on Friday to fix some things. Normal time, different day. So this coming Friday, 9:30 till 12:30 CEST. Then next week, we are aiming to release. That will not be on a Thursday since that's a public holiday. We will let you know a time and date when we have it. All right, that's going to be all for today. Thank you again, Drew. We'll get you back on real soon.
Thanks.
All right, see you later, everyone.
All right.
Have a good
Take
one.
care. Bye.
You know what really grinds my gears? You, America. Fuck you!